Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Samatsa on Bass. And today I would like to do a review of something very new for me, and that is the Alembic F-1X valve bass preamp. And for a long time, many decades, I've been reading reviews about the Alembic F-1X, along with reviews of other amazingly good preamps, Demeters and even some of the Eden stuff that they had. I think a Navigator preamp, and I always wanted to have a valve preamp without an amp, because a lot of the times I'm not using an amplifier, I'm using in-ear monitors. I'd like to have sort of that front end of the amp to give me a nice sound, a nice valvey sort of tubey sound. And we thought, okay, well, the only way we're going to be able to really find out, because I have noticed there's really no videos of a demonstration of an Alembic F-1X or a SF2 super filter or an F2B, which is a two-channel version. The difference with the F-1X is it's a single channel. It's got, if we look at it at the front, it's got two inputs. The second one has a 6 dB pad. It has a bright switch, a volume control, and then it has your normal bass, mids, treble, and then a deep switch. Next to that is the direct out, the 3-pin, and then you have a switch for pre and post, then a ground lift switch, and then you have a frequency control and a high frequency level. This is for the biamp feature, because out the back of it you have a full range output, and you have a low and a high output for the lows and the highs coming out of that crossover, so you can effectively get yourself a stereo power amp and drive one side for the lows and one side for the highs and biamp it that way, and balance out the lows and highs via the level control, and you can adjust the frequency obviously. And that's about it. There's no mute switch on it or anything like that. I have a list price of US $19.95 now, and I always wondered, that's a lot of money in anybody's language, and I always wondered, is that sticker price reflecting on the quality of the product and the sound? And the only way to find that out, of course, is to put it on the road and subject it to live playing, some studio playing, and see what you get out of it. And results will vary. Now, straight off the top, I'll tell you, this being a valve or tube preamp, it doesn't overdrive. It's a very clean sound. So again, if somebody was looking for that sort of SVT overdrive sound, there's other things that do that. This does clean. So that's what we're going for. That's how I use all my preamps, even the ones that are capable of overdrive. I don't really use the overdrive, but you could always use a pedal or something else in front of it for that. So I've set it for what Alembic calls flat, which is bass on 2, mids on 10, and treble on 2, both the bright and the deep switches off. And I've wired this rig here, which goes straight to the camera. So I have an AB switch, and it switches between the Alembic F-1X and the radial DI stage bug. So we get the stage bug sound, and I'll flick over to the F-1X. So we can A-B the bass going through to the camera just flat, without anything added, and then we'll switch over to the F-1X and have a bit of a tweak and see what kind of sounds we get out of it. And to start off with, using my trusty Fender Steve Harris signature P-Bass. This has got a custom shop, I think it's 62 or 63 pickup in it, because I like that sound. So I'm going to turn this microphone off so it doesn't pick up any clank from the strings here, and all you'll be hearing is the signal direct from the bass, and this will be firstly directly through the radial DI, and then I'll switch over to the F-1X and we'll have a listen. Now we'll switch over directly to the F-1X set flat. Now even at the flat setting there, you can hear that little bit of tube warmth that kicks in, and that sort of tubbier, I guess, bottom end in it. And now as we start to tweak, you'll notice that these actual bass mid treble controls are highly interactive. They're the old sort of Fender style circuit. So when you being that the mids are full on at flat, when you cut back the mids, it starts to alter what the other controls do and vice versa. So you're getting a lot of different characteristics. So I'm not doing a lot of talking. I'll take some pictures and just pop them up on the screen. You can see where the settings are and what kind of tone I'm getting from the bass. So what we'll do now is we'll switch basses. We'll switch to another very popular bass, which is the jazz bass. I'm using my Squire with the EMG pickups. It's got quite a bright sound. It's got quite bright strings on it. It slaps really well. Let's have a listen at what we can do with that. Now this is what the jazz bass sounds like directly through the radial stage bug DI. And now I'm going to switch over to the F-1X, and this is set flat once again with both bright and deep switches off. Now again, I'm just going to tweak a few of the parameters, and I'll talk through it, I guess. So I'm going to boost the bass up from 2 to 3. I'm going to cut the mids back from 10 to 8, and I'm going to boost the treble to 3.5, and that should give me a nice little gentle scoop. Let's see. Now we'll engage the bright switch, the settings as they were. So the function of the bright switch is to basically just shunt the highs straight through. So you get those extreme highs coming through, and it's great for that really bright slap sound. I'm going to engage the deep switch now with the bright switch off and see how that fares. The deep switch, by the way, kind of shifts the frequency of the bass control. So we should hear a deeper bass, and I think it puts a bit of a scoop, a little bit of a notch rather. It puts a bit of a notch in the lower mids to give you a clearer bottom end, especially for a 5-string. Now again, leaving the settings as they are, I'm going to engage the bright switch and the deep switch together. Now I've turned the bright and deep switch off, and I've got some settings of bass on 4, mids on 9, and treble on 2. It's not as intuitive as, say, a regular equalizer where the frequency bands are set and you know what they're going to tweak. This is kind of interactive and moves around a lot and does different things. So you have to play with it to get the best out of it, and you have to get used to how it sounds at different settings. For me, that sort of close to flat sound, maybe with a little bass boost and touch of treble boost, is close enough to what I'm looking for, and it gives you that warmth of the valve or the tube, right, to just give it a nice sort of pillowy sound. Just the attack is there. I shouldn't say pillowy. I think it's just a warm sound. It's warmer than the bass going straight through to the system. Now, another one of my all-time favorite preamps is the one in the Eden World Traveler 550, the World Tour, Traveler 550 amp. And that has 3 semi-parametric mids, bass, treble, Eden's enhanced control. And I've loved the way that preamp in that amp works, and the way that it sounds and the tones you get out of it. And it sounds massively good with fretless. You can get some really good sounds. So as a comparison, and I'm not doing this in a direct comparison to say one is better than the other. I just want to illustrate, I guess, what the differences are between now the F-1X going through the Eden's power stage only, and then we'll do similarly A-B between the Eden preamp and the Alembic F-1X, and have a bit of a tweak and see what kind of sounds we get and what the differences are. Now, another upside of doing that, and we're using it that way, and I'm thinking of actually rack mounting the Eden with a spare slot at the top, so I can rack mount the F-1X. And if I'm using 2 basses, I can actually have 2 different EQs, and I just turn the volume off on the bass I'm not using. But they go through the same speaker and the same power amp. And when you put it through the speaker, the F-1X, through the amp and the speaker, it's wildly different to what you're getting directly through the camera here, because you've got that extra stage of amplification and speaker that adds color and everything else. So we'll do that in another video, not to make this video extremely long. In closing, I like the F-1X a lot, and I'm going to rack it up and take it on the road and come back with a report on what I found with it using it live. Another thing that is worth mentioning right now is I have no affiliation with Alembic or any other company whatsoever. I do like their products a lot. I like their basses. I like their preamp now. It's a very sturdy unit in that the chassis is made out of quite thick metal, and when you touch the controls on it, they are consistent in feel. They feel of quality. Guys have had this stuff in their racks for 30 years. Besides maybe changing the valve or tube once in every few years, they've really needed no other work. So they actually are very roadworthy, and it's sort of proven out there. And the other thing is, maybe I'm not alone in liking it so much, because people that buy these tend to hang on to them, and you don't really see many of them on the second-hand market. Now, of course, fashion changes, and some people are now looking for a grittier, dirtier sound, and they say, I'll sell that F-1X, which is totally clean, and get something that does the gritty sound. I just think that, for me, personally, it adds the warmth on the bottom without robbing any clarity from the top, and it just adds that sparkle on the top, similar to what the Eden does, because that's a valve preamp in that. And it's just got that nice sound. It's slightly sort of compressed by the valve or tube, whichever way you want to call it. And it should sit, I feel, very nicely in the mix with with the drums and other instruments, and I'll report back on that. So in the next video, we'll probably do a little report on how this went on the road, just a recap of it, and then we'll sit it on top of the Eden. We'll plug into the power stage, mic up the GK 112 with the horn cab, and just have a play between the two of them, an A-B, and see what kind of sounds we can get with a couple of basses. Let me know in the comments if you have used one of these Alembic preamps, and tell me what you think of it. Is it still in your rack? Is it one of your all-time favorites? Or have you sold it and moved on to something else? For me, I've been using the Eden WT-DI preamp pedal, and I've been using the Tech 21 bass DI pedal to good effect. They yield a nice sound. The Eden is very, very clean like this. The Tech 21 Sans amp, you can dial some grid into it. It's sort of got a valve emulation stage, and you can blend between that and solid state, and it yields some interesting sounds. It gets close to a valve tone, not exactly like a valve tone because there's no valve in it, but you know, it's at sort of almost there, the sound. But as we go through life, we kind of look at the more and more detail of things, and this is where I think that at almost $2,000 US list price, you're paying that money for that incremental little difference in the sound quality, the quality of the build. These are handmade, sort of hand wired. A lot of care is taken, like every other Alembic product, and it's just evident in it. Yeah, so just let me know what you thought of the sounds, what you thought. Does it impart enough difference for somebody to say, yeah, look, I'll spend that kind of money and put one in my rack and then just keep it there for the next couple of decades. It's that good, or no, it's really not for me. I don't do that kind of clean sound. It's a very individual thing, really. Personally, I like it. I think it's a great preamp. Once I get it on the road, I'm fairly sure I'm going to have very good results with it. But I will let you know, and we'll catch up next time. So thank you ever so much for spending this time with me and watching the video. I hope this has given you a little bit of information on the Alembic F-1X, and until next time, keep making music, keep playing bass. God bless, be well, and see you soon.